Hi folks, it's Ray Clay and this is episode 6. Today I'm going to talk more about the salt and about the art of spin doctoring. A lot of young people may not know what a spin doctor is, and most older people will know what a spin doctor is, but it's somebody who's hired to either make something big look small or something small look big, depending on the situation. If you're a politician, it may be a crisis. You hire spin doctors to try to diffuse it by making it sound better than what it really is. Now, the spin doctoring that's been going on with this project is mostly got to do with the dilution rates of the brine. These are engineered solutions by engineers that do the math on all this stuff. And so they keep coming up with solutions depending on what's more palatable for people to accept. Now, one of the things is the brine waste. They've started out with 10-to-1 ratios. It's really hard to determine what the ratios are. They're all in parts per million, and they've bantered this back and forth as far as the amount of discharge. It started out at 4,500 meters, cubic meters twice a day. Now it's up I think 120,000 at their discretion per flush to reflect the upscale size of the project. So this is what goes on. You have to be very careful of how things are said and look a little closer at it. Stick to what the reality of the situation is, as opposed to what the spin doctors may have you want to believe. Now, I don't have to do any spin doctoring on this project at all. I don't have to exaggerate. It's so huge that it doesn't require any exaggeration by anybody. The size of it is what makes it so unbelievable. So I'm going to do a little spin doctoring here just to show you an example. And you've heard me refer to dump truck math. Well, that's a way of trying to get people to understand how much material is involved. At no point am I saying that Alton Gas is dumping dump trucks into the river. Of course, that would be ridiculous. If they started dumping dump trucks into the river, people would lose their mind. They'd be outraged. So the salt and other materials, let's not forget, there's a ton of other materials in there besides just salt. A lot of that is unknown. But anyway, the materials that are going to be dumped into that river, the volume is the volume. They can dilute it as many ways as they want. So I'm going to use dump trucks. Now, on the last video I talked about cubic yards versus cubic meters, and the reason I've converted things to cubic yards is because that's how dump trucks run in this part of the country, is in cubic yards. Also, a cubic yard equates to a ton. And when we're talking about maybe selling salt, and I'll talk about that a little later on down the road here, it's bought and sold in tons. So we do it in cubic yards. Now, again, I have to refer to my paper because I still can't believe that the math is what it is. But we're talking about 8,687,250 cubic yards of material that has to come out of those caverns and be disposed of in that river, one way or the other. Now, if you divided that by 15 yards for a dump truck, you'd come up with 579,150 dump trucks. Now, you know, people say, well, gee, that's a lot of dump trucks. It sure is a lot of dump trucks. It's a lot of salt. Now, if you figure the average dump truck is, say, 30 feet long, and you multiply that by 30 feet, you're going to end up with a line of dump trucks 3,290 miles long. That's from here in Nova Scotia to Toronto and back, and there again, and almost halfway back again. That's a long line of dump trucks. Now, of course, you're not going to see any dump trucks. This is going to be mixed with brine to a certain solution rate, and then mixed in ponds, filtered, and all the rest of the processes that you can see on the Alton website, and then it's going to be dumped into the river. But the bottom line is, that is the amount of salt and materials. and the other materials are not all salt. There's metals, there's a wide range of stuff. Again, you can find that on the environmental assessments that are online. So, you know, spin doctoring. Another way, picture the 18 caverns that they're above ground, and they're solid cubes of salt. They're 330 feet tall, 33-story building, an acre on the base. The Empire State Building is 2 acres, and there's 18 of them. Now just imagine 18 33-story buildings, an acre on the base, made out of solid salt and other material going into that river. They can brine it, they can dilute it, however much they want. That is the fact of the matter. Now, higher dilution rates mean higher consumption of water. Let's not forget, there's intakes that they have to get this water that's also coming from the river. So by the time aquatic life is affected on intakes and aquatic life is affected on the outtakes, what have you got? You're doubling up on it. If you increase the amount of water, you're affecting it on one end. If you increase the brine rate, you're affecting it on the outflow. So regardless of what they say, that's what's going into the river. And I really want people to think about that. We shouldn't be dumping at all in the rivers. Anyway, that's your little note for today. This is Red Clay signing off. And folks, keep your eye on the ball.